Why is it that your cash is not always earning yield for you? Why is that? Why do we tolerate that?
Okay, so check this out. It says, with MT-bill, retail investors have the same access to high quality assets that institutions enjoy. How long have me and Aqua been telling you guys that this level playing field is happening? Here's the proof right here on ALGORAND. Anyways, all right, so on to the ALGORAND. All right, just showing you guys that ALGORAND is a part of this transformation, this whole entire wave that's happening. Don't forget the XLR connection that I just threw at you guys as well, because this regulated platform that I'm going to show you guys right now is backed by XLR. And you guys just saw that XLR in some way, shape, or form is connected with Ondos. Ondos connected with JP Morgan, all that stuff, right? Don't forget that. We'll full circle to that in a second. But listen to this video of Stacy from the ALGORAND Foundation. Listen to her talk about this future that Stave from Ave was talking about. That rhymes. Stani, sorry, I call him Stave. Stani from Ave. It's a freaking tongue twister. Listen to what Stacy is saying about the future of finance. This is crazy. And then I'm going to show you guys that ALGORAND literally in the past like 2 months, bro, has prepared itself for exactly this. Check this out.
Said, by the way, for real world asset. And I'm thinking especially to real estate, given that it's a mass market and it's very liquid. And the second one is private equity. It can lower the minimum ticket. So it's quite an important space for us as well.
Yeah, Stacy?
Yeah, I guess I'll give 4 sort of archetypal examples. One is securitization vehicles, something that is, of course, near and dear to everybody's heart in this room. Before I start, though, as an aside, tokenization is nothing unless you have the other side of the trade, which is digital money. You have to be able to do an atomic swap on chain so that there's no counterparty risk, there's no credit risk around that. So when you have your tokenized, we tokenize an Aberdeen money market fund, but the important second leg of that trade is a company regulated by the Dutch Central Bank in Belgium it's called Quantos, and it's a digital euro. So if you take that sliver of a money market fund, you have to be able to swap it for digital money immediately in what's called an atomic swap, and that can only be done on chain. And tokenization doesn't mean anything without that money side also being on chain, I would assert. So if I start with kind of 4 examples, I'll start then with the money example first. Why is it that your cash is not always earning yield for you? Why is that? Why do we tolerate that? I should be able to take that tiny sliver of an Aberdeen money market fund and I should be able to hold it in my wallet. And when I I should be able to earn yield from my Aberdeen money market fund until I go into a cafe and I buy a cup of coffee. And when I get my latte, then Starbucks can start earning yield on my tiny sliver of my, what's a Starbucks latte now? $17? My $17 Starbucks latte, they can then earn yield on that. So that's the first thing. Like, you have to think about this like very futuristically.
So there's more. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say exactly her breakdown is exactly what Christine Moy broke down, but she just went to that nice high-end restaurant. What is it called again? What is it? I forget.
Nobu.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, literally. But she says there's more. She goes on to talk. I'm going to play it again, but she goes on to talk about the future, right? And so she's talking about exactly what we've been showing you guys. But I'm going to actually, so I'm playing this video because I'm going to actually show you guys physical evidence that all of this is happening via entities that you should be paying attention to on the ALGORAND blockchain. Like, there are regulated systems and projects and protocols being built out right now on Algo, which, just in my personal opinion, when you see that, shows to some degree that they're going to be a player in this new financial system, because there's going to be multiple blockchains that exist in the future. It's going to be, I'd say, I'm not going to make a guess on how many blockchains are going to survive in the future, but it's going to be a handful. It's not just going to be one blockchain to rule them all. Anyways, listen to what else she says here.
The second example is in these securitization vehicles, right? Like, there are a lot of intermediaries in securitization vehicles. You take a mortgage securitization, all that's happening there is a waterfall, right? A waterfall of investors. Some are getting the principal first, some are getting the interest, some take the first loss, some take the second. There's calculation agents that figure all of that out. No offense to any of the calculation agents in the room, right? But like this can all be automated with smart contract-based money, programmable money, and tokenization of these underlying assets, right? Calculation agents, paying agents, right? All of these guys, they take 30 to, 3 to 30, I don't know how many basis points off of a 3 to 4 basis points, let's call it, off of a mortgage. And, for $1 million mortgage, that could be $30,000, $40,000, right? It's real money. The third archetypal example is in, as I was saying earlier, illiquid assets, right? Like having rental income is a very important way to diversify your portfolio.
Bro, before she says what she's about to say, I want everybody to know that Aqua has been having freaking weekly Zoom calls showing how right now you can have a freaking real estate portfolio straight up on Lofty through real estate tokenization. This is crazy. So just listen to what she says, because this is, by the way, this is a video, okay, just to show you guys nobody's tapped into this. Played 3 days ago with 165 views. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. When in the CYPRX private community, we got the researchers sharing these videos, and we see them before everybody else does. All the clips that start trending on the internet, we'll see 2 months before they start trending on the internet, because we'll pay attention to these panel discussions, all these summits that take place, where all of these people are sitting on stage telling you guys what's happening right before it happens. Check this out.
Income. I'm not talking about an in-law suite over your garage, right? I'm talking about a small apartment building. But, middle-class investors, they're not going to buy an apartment building, but they could buy a part of an apartment building. So there's a company building on Algorand called Lofty AI, and for as little as $50, you can be an owner of a rental property, right? And what do you do as an owner of a rental property? You go to the Lofty AI website, where, by the way, it doesn't say Algorand, it doesn't say tokenization, it doesn't say blockchain anywhere on this website, but you get, the rental history.
Before we continue, for all those delegated, detailed researchers out there that think that a partnership requires the other partnership to announce publicly on their website that they are part or associated with that organization, is false. Stacy just confirmed that. Lofty AI, right? Or Lofty, the platform, is built straight on Algo. And she just said you can't find it anywhere on the website. It's not on there, right? So that's physical proof that these partnerships are happening. I could guarantee you, probably, from my personal opinion, that the vast amount of partnerships that people be announcing about Ripple, just because you go look at the website and it's not there, it's probably happening, right? It's probably happening.
That's a good call, bro. That's a super good call. 100%. So, yeah.
And if you don't have more credentials than Stacey Warden, you can't really, challenge that, I guess, I mean, you could, but
I mean, yeah, like, you're not the smartest person in the room with that. You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Again, that's that outdated mindset. We got to move with the tides.
The tax records for the area, the property manager, they form little DAOs around each property, and they get rental income. To your point earlier, liquid, right? You don't get your rental income at the end of the month. You get it every day, your percentage of your ownership in that property. And then the last example I'll use is in consumer. So the relationship I would argue that you hate almost the most is with your airline, right? Because if you don't want to take a trip that you booked, you have to go within a year, you have to take the same route, you get paid, you get fined $70 or whatever it is. But what if you didn't want to take that trip and you could sell that ticket because it's tokenized to somebody else on a secondary market? And so there's a company called TravelX that has tokenized airlines. They're now on their 4th airline partnership. And if you go to the airline that they started with, Flybondi, again, you don't see Algorand, you don't see TravelX, you just see airline tickets for sale, right? Now that market is not very liquid, right? Like people aren't trading like their exact airline legs all over the place. But the airline can go to you and say, oh, you bought this ticket to Minneapolis, you paid $100 for it. It's tokenized. Would you like $130 to not go to Minneapolis that weekend and go the next weekend? Because see, there's this Taylor Swift concert in Minneapolis that weekend, and we can sell that ticket for $400. It's like a win-win, but this stuff is only possible with these tokenized assets and tokenized on chain.
So anyways, bro, she's talking about the new financial future, right? She's talking about all these things that we're going to be able to do. And, you know, it's just wild because right now in real time, all right, so let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's get off the videos for a second. And let me show you guys the evidence. So you guys remember this gentleman. This is, and I'm trying to show you guys why you should be paying attention to this stuff, because it's not just like everyday average people. There's probably not one person on this call right now or anybody that follows me that could have the opportunity to do something like this. So we should probably all pay attention to people that are doing this stuff that none of us can do, right? And are literally hosting events that Algorand is the lead sponsor at. So check this out. You know, it says right here, this is Professor Dr. Nassim. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He had the honor to receive his MBE from the king. And this is back from a year ago. So this gentleman is not some just random guy, right? Go read on this. I've done coverage on this before, but this gentleman shook the hand of the freaking king, right? He's not just some random guy. You ain't probably doing that. I'm not doing that in my lifetime. Let's just be honest, you know, let's not be egotistical. Nobody here on this call is shaking the hand with the king, you know? So this guy's probably somebody we should, you know, tap into his LinkedIn profile and see what he's been cooking, right? So the researchers came across this. If we go back to this event that I posted, this is back from April 17th, 2025. And I said here in this post, Algo is a sleeping giant. They are all connected. Pay attention. And it's because I came across this event that this gentleman was at. And you can see right there, Algorand is on the main page, right? So if we go back and we look at the documents, check this out. Look at what they talked about. Decentralized finance, DeFi, and the crypto economy. Supporting crypto and digital asset businesses in the UK, regulation of DeFi apps, governance of DeFi applications, auditing tokenomics, crypto staking, travel rules for crypto firms, right? Risk threats and opportunities in DeFi for the UK economy, crypto payments, businesses. Okay, so you guys see all this stuff that they talked about. And Algorand, along with Filecoin, were the only, right? You don't see anybody else there. You got the HM government. You got all these large organizations. You got the Department for Trade and Business. You got the House of Lords, right? The British Embassy, the Commonwealth, and the UK Parliament, all this freaking event. The UNDP, right? So you got the United Nations basket down in there. So, and they're talking about staking. They're talking about DeFi, okay? Well, you guys remember the other day, myself and Aqua posted this to you guys. Algorand Foundation, 2 weeks ago, we are thrilled to welcome Jenny Levine as the new Chief Legal Operations Officer at the Algo Foundation. And we broke this fundamental down for you all where I said, Jenny Levine is joining the Algo Foundation, and it's not just a hire, it's a strategic positioning. With her on board, Algorand is now strengthening its regulatory credibility in the US, advancing decentralization with peer-to-peer networking and optimized staking rewards, and they're gearing up for institutional integration, especially in compliant staking infrastructure. Pay attention, because I tell you guys all this stuff in advance. This is from May 26, 2025. And in this document, this fundamental piece, look what it says here. It says, Jenny's most recent role as Chief Regulatory and Strategic Officer at Figment, one of the leading staking infrastructure companies, positions her perfectly to support our continuing efforts to decentralize the network through staking rewards and coming up with the launch of peer-to-peer networking. Jenny will be leading our legal and policy initiatives to ensure that Algorand plays a constructive role in shaping the future of responsible blockchain regulation. And then if we come over here, this is from a day ago. Look what freaking Algo just announced on their LinkedIn. Midas, a fully regulated German tokenization platform, launches MT-Bill token on the Algorand blockchain, the first non-EVM launch for a token. However, unlike the BIDL fund, which requires a minimum investment of $5 million, in MT-Bills is structured to allow broader access to short duration US Treasury exposures with no minimum investment required, bro. That means any average person can now do the same thing that people are doing on BlackRock on BIDL with any amount of money.
With any amount of money, no minimum. You can start with $1, $2. This is
regulated. This is regulated. So for anybody out there right now that is like DeFi is not regulated, this says right here, fully regulated.
Yeah, 100% it does.
Okay, so check this out. It says, with MT Bill, retail investors have the same access to high quality assets that institutions enjoy. How long have me and Aqua been telling you guys that this level playing field is happening? Here's the proof right here on ALGORAND. You know, this is nuts, crazy stuff right here. The first atomic swap transaction with MT Bill was executed on May 27th, swapping $2 million of USDC for MT bills at the cost of 0.002 cents. Or sorry, excuse me, 0.0004 cents in 2 seconds. This is crazy, bro. The swap took place in 2 seconds. Boom, just like that. The swap was conducted via third-party pool to meet us, not handled in execution. MT Bill is a permissionless token that offers full DeFi composability. The assets will make their way to the top of our DeFi ecosystem in the next few weeks. Stay tuned, right? And we can earn, right here, it says MT Bill currently offers yield of 4.06%. This is huge. 7 days of yield in the ETF. All day, 7 days, 4.6%. That is crazy, bro. But it goes deeper, okay? So to full circle, back to what Ave was talking about, or the gentleman from Ave was talking about, to full circle what me and Aqua have been telling you guys when we had Christine Moy on the panel discussion with BlackRock, going on to talk about how she's utilizing ESICRED and her ENA freaking USDC looping strategy on Apollo's credit fund, right? You guys remember that last week? Well, look at what Algo is doing so that way people can off this yield and go and spend it. Like literally, look at this. Algo just announced a week ago another major step for stablecoin adoption on Algorand. Users can now deposit and withdraw USDC via Algorand on crypto.com, and the world's largest exchange with over 100 million users. And then they also just recently announced 2 weeks ago the Para card, which still requires a waiting list, and it's not available in all jurisdictions yet, but they're still prepping for this. It says, we're pleased to announce that Para Wallet and payment cards will be launched on May 15th. The beta will be available in the UK, Italy, Germany, Spain, and New Zealand, with more countries to follow. Users will be able to spend USDC anywhere MasterCard is accepted, bringing digital assets into everyday use. So imagine this future, right, where you're earning your paycheck, and every single day you get your paycheck because maybe your payment provider for your paycheck or your business in the future, or whatever organization you work for, tokenizes their backend with the Zebic blockchain that is tokenizing payroll. And let's say you get your pay every day in the future. I'm just using that as an example. And every single day, let's say you make 50 bucks a day or 100 bucks a day, and then you go take that money and a portion of that, and this is all hypothetical, and you put $35 of that $50 a day that you're earning into this T-bill that's generating yield. And at the every single end of every single week, you have an extra 20 bucks, right? And instead of paying your $20 water bill with your 20 hard-earned Federal Reserve notes or whatever jurisdiction and fiat money that you make in terms of your pay, right? You then are literally tapping into the system and automating everything through yield strategies. This is huge. And a lot of people are about to wake up that this is all possible. Wouldn't you want, instead of paying your bills with your hard-earned income, want to pay that with your yield and actually keep your hard-earned income and be able to stack up for retirement and save? You know how many, I literally read a BlackRock document. I got a BlackRock document. I was telling you about this, bro, that says 68% of Americans right now would not be able to pay a $500 emergency bill expense. And over 48% of Americans don't even have $150,000 saved for retirement, right? This changes that. This levels the playing field for normal people to actually change their lives and keep up with the devaluation of our currencies and inflation that we've all suffered through since the age of the financial system. Like, this is huge.
Yeah, it's massive, bro. Have you checked out the Midas website too, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm going to go into that. So the full circle, back to what I was saying about BlackRock's involvement in all this, and JP Morgan's involvement in all this, and how BlackRock with Apollo launched, the Biddle Fund and whatnot and stuff. Now that document that I just showed you guys said that we can now do this on a level playing field with institutions. So it says right here, retail investors have the same access now to high quality assets that institutions enjoy, right? Where the Biddle Fund that BlackRock has a minimum investment of $5 million. This new fund on Algo has no minimum investment. This is huge in my opinion, just saying. But if we go over to this organization, Meet Us, right? Look at this. This website is crazy.
Look at those APYs, bro.
Nuts. 10% right there, 9%, 7%.
And the TVL too. Those are big boy TVLs on all of them. On all of
Yeah,
them.
they are 50 mil, 30 mil. Those all pass my requirements. I mean, my requirement for TVL is 500,000. I got high risk.
Facts, bro. Facts. So yeah.
But anyways, dude, coming down here, this is just, I was going to full circle to the XLR and the Ondo integration, because XLR, again, USDY, Ondo, JP Morgan, Ondo, da, 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 da. Well, look at this. Backed by the best, it says right here, XLR Foundation and BlackRock, and also Goldman Sachs and PwC, which is a major consulting firm, and McKinsey and Company, which is another major consulting firm. I believe these are 2 of the top 4 consulting firms right here, right? Institutional grade security with Fireblocks and Ancura. So not just 1, but 2 institutional grade security, integrations. This is massive. And this is all just live, just like literally a week ago, like this is fresh.
Bro, not to mention Tether right there next to BlackRock too. Like you're muted, bro.
Yeah, but my personal opinion on Tether, I personally don't think Tether's going to collapse, but that's a whole other rabbit hole. That's just me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like that, because there's some good researchers out there with credentials that play the devil's advocate that Tether is going to collapse. But
yeah, for
based
sure.
off, based off the inverse research that I've done, they're they're connected, bro.
Yeah, facts, bro. I think so too.
But so anyways, yeah, this is crazy that this is all, and again, this is regulated. This is a regulated platform right now. I mean, it's not regulated in the United States, but it's regulated in Germany. So for me saying it's regulated, that's accurate. It is a regulated platform. That means it has passed regulatory requirements, auditing, battle testing, all of that stuff in order to meet whatever regulatory requirements it has to meet to be operational in the DeFi ecosystem. And it's live as of last week.
Yeah. And when you try to connect to it here in the United States, you can't even connect to it. It says you're not in the correct jurisdiction. So
that's that I guess is what I had in a nutshell for Algo. I just wanted to show, we got the gentleman at the beginning from.
Yo, did you see what the chat said too about this guy and what they said as far as like how it's guarded to pull up to this?
No.
Did you see that in the chat?
No, I'm having a brain fart on what organization this gentleman stems from right now. It's so much information and data. Oh, the BBA, sorry. So, that's my spiel for this portion. I could go on to show more juice, but this is all taking place. This is happening. And for one to ignore this, again, it wouldn't behoove you. So I'll split it there since we have 1,700 people listening, and then we'll do a quick intermission. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for tapping in with us on this Friday call. If you guys want to tap into our private community, you guys can always head over to CYPRXtrading.com, tap into the Wealth 28 Club, dive into what it is that we're, paying attention to, these Zoom calls that we're hosting, the documents that we're sharing, the information that we're tapped into. And if not, again, just take the free approach, follow us on X, follow us on YouTube. Open up your own documents, go out and do your own research. I encourage you guys to change your mindset and understand that you don't have to be rich to do this. You don't have to have money to even do this at the end of the day. I mean, you can just learn, right? You can open up a document, you can watch a panel discussion, and that requires you nothing in terms of your crypto. You don't have to do anything with your crypto in order to learn about DeFi. Okay, I encourage you guys to incorporate learning about DeFi in your investment schematic, your long-term vision of surviving in this space, because the banks are. And I'm just here in an attempt to show you guys that is to be the case. And it's not just the banks, it's the private family offices, it's the wealth managers, it's the hedge funds, it's all of the above. And so again, keep in mind that we as retail traders have sat at the bottom of the totem pole for the last, however many years you've been alive, most likely, right? And for the first time ever, I just showed you guys physical proof that they are telling you right to your face that retail investors have the same access to high quality assets that institutions have enjoyed. So just pay attention. That's all I'm saying. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you're watching this as a recording, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe.